In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Loving God, you fill all things with the fullness and hope that we can never comprehend. Thank you for leading us into a time where more of reality is being unveiled to us for all to see. We pray that you will take away our natural temptation for denial, fear, and despair. Help us to have the courage to awaken to greater truth, greater humility, and greater care for one another. May we place our hope in what matters and what lasts, trusting in your eternal presence and love. Listen to our hearts' longing for the healing of our world. Knowing, good and gracious God, you are hearing us better than we are speaking. We offer these prayers in your name. Amen. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen. Thank you for that, Bernadette. That was beautiful.
So if you read News Views, you'll see it again.
Welcome, everyone. I can't decide if it feels like yesterday or 20 years ago when we held our very first virtual town hall and someone rolled up into my meeting and accused me of being a hacker. To be fair, Zoom takes away 5 years and pretty much all of your kids are taller than me. It's also weird to be talking to you over Zoom like this. I just explained like this webinar thing, and we unfortunately can't have that awkward but fun moment at the top of the meeting where we pressure you all into turning on your cameras and waving hi. But it also means that I won't be distracted wondering what amazing food you're all cooking. Anyway, we're a minute in and I'm already derailing this thing. I'm Alan. I'm one of your Parent Association co-chairs. Welcome. This town hall is meant to take over for what many of you remember fondly from curriculum night, when we'd all gather in church and Ms. O'Leary and Pablo would sort of paint a picture and give us their vision for how the year would look. There'd usually be singing. The presentation would be super slick, and some number of you would have dubious liquids hidden inside of your coffee cups. So this is pretty much the same, minus the singing. Real quick, just in case you've never been in a Zoom webinar, take a look down at the bottom of your app or window. You should have the ability to ask a question, or you can hit the chat button to talk to the panelists, to specific panelists, or to everyone. You can go ahead and say hi now, and feel free to keep the questions coming. We will forward those questions to the right people and answer them as time allows. We're going to have a traditional Zoom PA meeting following our principal's presentation, which all of you are invited to. But before we hand this over to our amazing school administration, I'm going to invite my amazing co-chair to introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm Sarah Dean, and this is my first year co-chairing the Parent Association with Alan, my second year participating in the Parent Association. I have a third grader, Vinny, and I'm so excited to be here tonight. And I have to say, Alan and I have been blown away by the support for the Parent Association already this year. So I think it's a sign of how, first of all, grateful we are to have our kids back in school in person 5 days a week from 8:15 to 3 p.m. So thank you to everyone who made that happen. But it's also a sign of just everyone's commitment to our community. There's still a handful of spots available to support the PA. And when you're part of the PA, everyone's part of the PA, all parents, by just being part of the school, you're automatically part of the Parent Association. But there's a handful of specific positions left that are not high pressure positions. They're just ways for you to be involved and volunteer and enjoy being part of the community at just another level. And so we will drop a link if you want to grab a spot in the Parent Association at your child's grade level. That's much appreciated. And then when we're done with our town hall portion tonight, we will be talking more specifically about what the PA does, what the specific roles are, what they do, especially if you're feeling intimidated by that, what our schedule looks like, and all those kind of good things. So please stick around for that. And with that, I am passing it off, I believe, to Pablo to kick us off with school goodness.
Thanks, Sarah and Alan. I just want to say that I'm glad our PA has high-tech presentation equipment, because you guys look really good on the Zoom screen. So kudos. I'm going to pull up our presentation here. I'm going to share my screen, and then Bernadette will take us through a number of decks. I'll jump in, and then we'll conclude with the PA. See if I can get there.
Yeah. Well, while you're getting there, let me tell you that you, parents, are our partners. We are partners in this together, and together we can. So those of you who were with us last year, there we are. There's Together We Can. Those of you who were with us last year will recognize that theme. It was a slightly, the poster was a different color, but we hung on to the theme because it is such an important one. Mrs. Sakalakis wrote the song for the theme. We thought we'd all be back singing it together back in more normal times. We haven't had the chance to sing it loudly enough, to sing it as a school. And we really want to have more time to demonstrate how we act with justice, love with mercy, and walk humbly with God. That theme, and you'll see we have lovely posters, we'll be putting them up soon. That theme is based on our mission statement, which defines our deep Catholic identity. That mission statement guides all that we do here at St. John. We are an inclusive Catholic community committed to inspiring moral development, academic excellence, and the courage to act for the common good. If you're vaccinated and you're in the school, you'll see the yellow posters around the school with our mission statement. We are called to provide a rigorous program of faith formation, academic excellence, critical thinking, and action in service of social justice. And although we're only 2 weeks back, students are already leading prayer. They're here in my office leading prayer over the intercom. They led prayer in church. We had students lecture at last Sunday's Mass. They are writing prayers to save our environment, prayers around for the season of creation. In this new normal, we won't be able to attend Mass as a whole school, but we do look forward to taking turns to attend as departments. So the middle school department will attend, and the rest of us will Zoom in. The intermediate department will attend, and the primary department will attend, spaced out, socially distanced at Mass. And we'll send you the link so that you can attend with us. We hope to have class masses and monthly masses. We continue to have our very strong academic excellence. How's our slide going? Oh, let me go back to the strategic goals. We are guided by strategic plan and our accreditation plan. And our strategic plan is developed by our own community, by teachers, students, teacher reps, student reps, and faculty reps, and our school commission, our PA. We've developed this about 4 years ago. We continue to meet these goals, supporting ongoing professional development and growth in our faculty, establishing a formal service learning social justice program. We are committed, like our mission statement says, to acting for the common good. We want our students to be like disciple apprentices, be it collecting food, helping the unbound, understanding our blessings here, and then making service, helping others, like brushing their teeth. We do it daily. We want the students to recognize the presence of God's love in their lives and to encounter Jesus in others. On our Spanish program, we are comparing the stated goals that we have against our current program and identifying opportunities for change or improvement. In all, we want to ensure that all students engage in rigorous and meaningful learning opportunities that are attentive to their ideas, their identities, and their growth. And as we look at their growth, we have to define where they're coming in this year. And how did they get on over the summer? How did they get on over the year of COVID school? So the teachers are not only getting to know their students, but they're also assessing where they are academically. Fall testing includes STAR, Achieve, and DIBELS. And these are reading fluency and phonetic tests. The DIBELS is phonetic. They're doing the primary, they're doing the SG, and that's already underway, looking at their numeracy and their letter formation and their letter recognition, and then MAP, the measurement of academic progress, will begin next week. And here is a test for all of you out there. And while you're doing it, let me tell you to keep your students calm. Keep them calm. We do want them to do their best, of course, but assure them that we just want to find out where they're at now and to help them to grow and progress throughout the year. Okay, I'm not going to give you the answers tonight.
You can put the answers in the chat and we can see how you do.
Oh, there you go. So the tests are a benchmark. The teachers will look at the results and then they will observe and formatively help the students to grow. And remember, the tests are just one mark. They will also be looking at where they are each day and helping them on a daily basis, as I said. So now here's accreditation. We have a love, I shouldn't say hate, maybe a love-dislike relationship with accreditation. It's a paradox. It is hard work and extra work for the teachers, but it is very valuable work. I describe it as an examination of conscience. How are we doing? Every 6 years, we're required to complete a self-study in order to be accredited by the Western Catholic Education Association. And a successful result gives us a 6-year term of accreditation. We're currently in year 4 of the 2017 visit, when they came and they stayed in the school here for a number of days, and they assessed that we were doing what we said we were doing. And I will say in year 4, we are meeting the goals that we set ourselves. The Western Catholic Accreditation Association that accreditation is above and beyond state approval, and we are required to meet and exceed all standards. So the self-study is a 2-year process of defining our strengths and then looking at areas for improvement. And this 2023 accreditation is using National Catholic Education Association. You can see the NCEA there. It is using those standards and benchmarks for effective Catholic elementary and secondary schools. And the standards, you can see an example of one there, they're intended to describe how the most mission-driven, program-effective, well-managed and responsibly governed Catholic schools operate. 9 defining characteristics such as centered on the person of Jesus Christ, committed to educate the whole child, distinguished by excellence, steeped in Catholic worldview, etc., ground the standards and the benchmarks, and they are in 4 domains. So you'll be hearing a lot about these 4 domains: mission and Catholic identity, academic excellence, governance and leadership, and operational vitality. Over the coming months, we'll send out surveys. We will be looking for your participation in stakeholder meetings. So we do want you to stay informed, to read news views. After all, the standards background states Catholic schools, in collaboration with parents and guardians as the primary educators, seek to educate the whole child by providing an excellent Catholic education rooted in gospel values. So stay tuned. We'll be looking for your input. Thank you.
As Bernadette shared, staying tuned is your job as parents in this partnership, and a lot of ways that you can stay informed with all that's happening at St. John's. The school website is updated weekly with important stories. Also, those are the same stories that appear in your Thursday news views that will arrive to your inbox probably tonight around 7 p.m. That is the one vehicle that we ask you to stay apprised of, because there is information and pertinent news stories in there to our community, ways to become involved, and everything that you as parents need to know is there. Also checking those weekly emails that come home from your child's homeroom teachers, beneficial information in there. And also, of course, on our social media accounts, posts there for you to peruse. I'll give a brief COVID-19 update. I told the preschool and kindergarten families back at the beginning of the school year when we had our visits in the courtyard that the best thing we can do as parents this year is keep our children home when they're exhibiting any of the symptoms listed here that can be associated with COVID-19. This is really our base level defense. And I've talked to a number of parents already that have had a child home for the day that needed to get tested, and they verified. And once that child tested negative, they were able to return to the classroom. This really is something that we don't want to cheat on this year. I know as a parent, I've probably told my own son that he was fine and he should go to school back before COVID started. And we're in a different time now, guys. So this is the one that we really need to stay consistent with. Keep the child home, get them tested. Should the child test positive, then you need to alert the school immediately so that we can take on contact tracing and messaging to our school community, classrooms affected, etc. Everything's detailed in our reopening plan, which is on the school website regarding COVID practices, protocols, etc. I would alert you to checking out the flow chart that is in news views tonight, that is provided by Department of Health, and it really thoroughly explains each scenario should your child either test positive or become a close contact of someone in their class or homeroom that should contract COVID-19. It's all explained there in that flow chart. I encourage you to check that out. We have had no cases to report since the beginning of the school year. I did see in the question and answer session that we provided prior to this evening's webinar that someone asked if we had a dashboard that we would provide to the community. We do not have that at this time. I will say that Ms. O'Leary is in contact with Office for Catholic Schools on a weekly basis, and information across the diocese is shared regarding cases in our Catholic schools. I think at last week's writing of news views, we were tracking 22 cases across the entire diocese.
Mm-hmm.
And that includes schools from Bellingham all the way to Vancouver. I do want to plug our jogathon coming up next Wednesday. We're just over $56,000 in total gifts at this time to the jogathon. I want to thank everyone that has given so far. And tomorrow we have a raffle for those students who have met the $150 in donation so far. And we're just so excited that we're going to be able to do this event together on campus this year. We invite parents and grandparents to come out and spectate and be part of the fun. The specific running schedule will be posted in news views today, so you can plan accordingly. We're going to run this over 3 days next week, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Would love to see you come out and join the fun. I love this little poster that one of our students made. If you can't see maybe in the dialogue bubble there, but she's saying, let's run our way out of COVID. This is a good message for the year. Also want to give a shout out to our generous sponsors. Our featured sponsor, Atlas Construction Specialties, coming through again this year with strong support for this event. Thank you, Wistrom family. Also, big thank you to Spring Free Trampoline, the McCarthy family, for once again donating that trampoline to our final raffle. I know your kids probably want that trampoline in your backyard, but really thanks to all the generous sponsors who made this and make this event such a great community builder and a good time for our families and a great way to support the school. We always like to end the administrative portion of the presentation with just a little traffic reminder. This is not on your Waze app, but I will say this map has been published in a lot of different places in the last probably month, and I encourage you to review it. I have talked to a few parents at drop off who hadn't done their homework, and were kind of caught in a situation where they may have been holding up the line. But I do want to point out one thing that's really going to become a factor here probably this fall, and that is going to be the future construction zone there on the corner of 79th and Greenwood. You can see the no parking, no waiting dots, future construction zone. It's going to be very impactful, parents, and I encourage you to start to find some alternative ways to get your kids into the building each day and pick them up, whether that be parking in the neighborhood, biking, walking, taking advantage of the new Stay Healthy Street there on First Avenue. We'd love to see a team of parents step up and create a walking to school bus group that could alleviate some of the congestion that we put on the neighborhood each day. I had a nice chat with a neighbor yesterday who told me that we've ruined the neighborhood because of our impact with the traffic. So we really need to get creative here and come up with some alternatives. I think we can do it. One other thing to note, it is legal to turn right onto First Avenue where that little walking person is there on the left. Even though that says street closed, you are allowed to turn right there in the mornings, in the afternoons, if you want to access 80th Street. That will become a permanent installation, the Stay Healthy Street. So we'll expect to see some more permanent signage there and some other things coming up this fall also. Just some little final reminders. It helps a lot in the morning if you, after you drop your kids off, if you don't spend time in your car looking at your cell phone, that just clogs everything up. Once the kids are gone, if you could exit the drop-off area, that'd be great. And then obviously the Greenwood Avenue queue there in the afternoon, please continue to use that northbound lane to access our load unload zone. Pull forward when you're coming into the load zone. My crossing guards there are pointing to all that empty space that's open. You can pull all the way down. And then please, no unattended vehicles on 79th Street during those peak pickup drop-off times. It really causes havoc when cars get abandoned. Thank you so much for all the ways that you're supporting us in this regard. And I am going to pitch it over now to Alan and Sarah at the PA.
Hey, don't take off yet. We've got a few more questions if you don't mind. Is that all right? All right. So is there any thinking around providing school-based COVID testing?
Let me answer that because yes, there is there's an organization called Return to Learn, and the Archdiocese, the Office for Catholic Schools, the entire Chancery is looking into it. Initially, our Archdiocesan Insurance said no, because of the liability associated with the accuracy on sometimes of those sort of their rapid tests. But there is a call out for school-based testing. So next week, I know that the representatives from the Office for Catholic Schools are meeting with somebody. It'll be a while, but we are looking at it.
I mean,
I will have a response eventually.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, we don't have a school nurse. We don't have a school fireman. And everybody has a similar story, right? Like somebody they know or they themselves took the rapid test. They got one thing, they went the PCR, and then they got a different result, right? Yeah. So, so that's really interesting. All right, accreditation. At a basic level, what is the range of outcomes of that? What is at stake?
Oh, what do you mean? What is a 6-year term? Yeah.
So with accreditation, like, let's say we get a bad grade. Are we shut down then?
Well,
like what happens?
No, we're not shut. Well,
okay.
No, we're not shut down, but they could say, you've got a lot of work to do. We'll be back in 1 year. Or they could say, you've got some work to do. We'll be back in 3 years.
Let's say you get an A+.
But we get an A+, yes.
Yeah, we'll get an A+, and then
highly effective across a number of benchmarks. So.
And then you guys get a raise, right?
Oh, we dream on.
Yeah. Oh, okay. All right. Well, what does that look like as far as parents go? Because I saw that surveys were out there and groups like discussion groups. So you'll just put that out in news views that you're looking for opinions on things. And
we will create a survey, and that'll be based on everything. How are we doing with our Catholic identity? How are we doing with our academic excellence? It'll be a fairly intense survey. We will want you to think about your responses, because remember, this is how we can grow and improve. This is for our growth, the entire community's growth. Also, then there will be, the school commission will be involved, especially members of the school commission, and we will have subcommittees on that because of our governance. They will look at leadership and governance. They'll be looking at operational vitality. So we will need some people who will look at our budget and say, okay, this is good. So we will look at academic excellence. What's it like in the classroom? You know, how are we doing? How well are we keeping students engaged? So teachers and maybe parents will be involved in that. So there'll be a number of subcommittees. There will be plenty of places for people to be involved. Big part, and we would like that.
I can't help but feel the need to ask this question: that, like, how amazing is it that this is this year and not last year? Because I have a feeling that having to go through accreditation last year would have been very difficult, and that so like.
Well, a number of our schools did, and rather than the team coming into the school, they had to do a lot of what they do when they come in, and they spend 3 days here. The team is generally could be 6 to 8 to 10 people, and they spend days in here talking and chatting with parents, with our governance, with father, with teachers, with students. So all of it happened over Zoom, and the entire self-study had to happen over Zoom also. So there's a lot of writing. We could have PhDs after it.
Speaking of just going through COVID, how do you feel like MAP testing reflects the progress of the school, and as far as, like, was it what you expected, having gone through COVID? And I know that we're scheduled to start testing again pretty soon.
Yeah.
What's your response to that?
Well, I think we will place more reliability and validity on this fall test, and then looking at the spring test and watching the growth from this fall to this spring. This fall, or to next spring, this fall is going to give us a benchmark from which we start, and then we will chart. We will look at students individually, and then students as groups and students as grades, and say, okay, this is where we need to grow. This is how we can grow. This is how we plan to grow, and we will implement strategies to help that growth. And then look at the spring and say, did we meet those targets? You know, this is where we feel we can be. Did we exceed those targets? Great. But we don't feel as much validity in comparing this year and last year.
Right.
And looking at that. So we're really going to focus in on growth from here.
Well, I think I speak for most of us when I say that we are so thankful that the kids are back in school, and that the testing will be much more successful this time around, regardless of whatever they look like last time.
Mhm.
Even with the hardship of whatever, keeping your kid at home if they've got a cold, like you guys are doing great, and we're so thankful.
Well, we're in it together. Together we can. Community.
Are there any other questions, you guys? Do you guys have anything else?
Paul's turn.
Alan, we have a couple questions from the form that we sent out. Do you want me to go through those?
Yes, please.
So we had a parent ask if we could bring back the printed directory. I think it was either during COVID or maybe the year before that we went from a printed directory to an online directory. The question also asks, could parents opt in and pay an extra fee for that?
Mhm. We're not making printed copies of the directory. We'll make it available online. We're in the process of updating this year's document. You would clearly have the option of printing it from the online source.
Mhm.
It just wouldn't have a nice colorful cover and be bound, but yeah, it'll be available.
We're
And
saving-
go
We're
ahead.
saving the trees. Sorry, we're saving the trees.
We had a question about preschool drop-off. Can preschool drop-off be relocated when they move from the blacktop to the preschool building? They clog up the alleyway.
Well, we like having them where they are because when we move them to their own separate, there wasn't this feeling of community. They are part of our community, and they line up along with the rest of the school, and it's really nice to have the preschool and see them there as part of the community. We try to keep them to sort of one line and let people pass. But generally, when they're going in, we anticipate that most people have come in through the alleyway because they're going in after, 8:15, 8:20. So, Paul, your response?
Yeah, and part of it's due to those lines being the same place that students queue for fire drill.
Yeah.
We need everybody in that same space. So that's why they start there.
Mm-hmm.
After school activities such as scouting, what is the guidance for that this year?
I don't think we're starting scouting yet.
Actually, scouting started last night.
Oh, there we go.
For Cub Scouts, and it will be primarily outdoors.
Yeah. I was going to say in the building. Nothing in the building.
And then last question is, which is a perfect segue to get us into how the Parent Association can help out, is how can parents help support the teachers this year?
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything specific that comes to mind, or things that you've already heard teachers needing support with that parents could get on board with?
Positive encouragement goes a long way. It was really hard for teachers to gear up to do this again. And I think in July, when we all thought it was going to be a somewhat normal school year, and coming back in August, and a lot of our in-service being devoted to the COVID playbook, it was difficult. So I think words of encouragement go a long way, and support, and keeping your child home when they're not feeling well, getting them tested, protects the whole community.
Yeah.
I think that wraps it up for questions, Alan.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. So, I mean, unless anybody has anything else, we are going to transition over to the normal PA meeting. Paul, if you don't mind, you can kill the Prezi. Yeah. If you're not here to listen to me and Sarah talk.
But we have a lot of
That's
good
like-
things to say, so you should stay.
Yeah, really important things. All right. So, I mean, I guess the stuff that we should start off with is our schedule for the year and kind of like what we're thinking. This year is looking a lot like last year. I said it in a really long email. And at least for now, we're not planning for any in-person events, unfortunately. Unfortunately for you guys, because I said that I would be in this role until we could do an in-person event. So like, you know, knock on all the things, so I'll be out of here soon. Our meeting schedule, though, is going to be on Thursday nights, and then it'll rotate to Friday mornings. We like this time right now, but you know, this is the time that we landed on last year. Thursdays at 5 p.m. And then we'll shift to Friday morning right after drop off, 8:45 a.m. It'll still be virtual next month. And then it'll rotate like that, at least for the time being. We also can't imagine that any of this will go to in person for the time being. We are meant to, this meeting is supposed to be open to the whole school, whether or not you are, regardless of your level of commitment to parent association. So this is just the most accessible way to do it in this time period. Do you guys have any questions about that? Cool. You know what's going to be really great, though, is that we are going to have some pretty awesome guests for our parent education stuff. And we'll get to that in a little bit. But it is pretty exciting. And that stuff is going to be all virtual. So I don't know. I'm jumping ahead.
Can I jump in on that?
Yeah, please.
Because something that we wanted to make sure we got Bernadette's, we wanted to ask Bernadette to speak to a bit. Can you talk to us a little bit about Dave Watson and what the admin and faculty are doing with Dave Watson? And then we can explain kind of how that ties into some of the stuff the Parent Association wants to do.
Yes, sure. Dave Watson is presenting to us. So I will move back. We have on our mission statement that we are inclusive, and we wanted to be to address diversity, equity, and inclusion in the faculty. And over this past summer, we have read 3 books. We read Daring Greatly by Brene Brown, Courageous Conversations, and then Culturally Responsive Teaching. And in preparation for this year, when we will discuss these 3 along with Dave Watson, who was a speaker with David Watson Consulting. He's a former assistant principal at St. George, a former O'Day teacher. He's now an assistant principal at North Shore, I think, in the public school. And he came and addressed us at the beginning of the year, and he will be doing 5 more sessions with the teachers on these topics, where together we will have these courageous conversations and how we can implement strategies in the classrooms to be more culturally responsive. So he's also said he will talk to parents.
So along those lines, when Bernadette mentioned to us that they were working with Dave Watson as a faculty, Alan and I got very excited because we were already having a conversation about what we wanted to do for parent education over the course of this year. And one of the things that we were talking about was how we can bring in speakers for parent education nights and definitely bring in, create opportunities for conversations related to social justice. And so what our plan is to piggyback off the work that Dave is doing at the administrative and faculty level with the school is we'll bring Dave Watson will come in for a parent education night, and that will be happening, we're hoping, in October. We'll get dates out on that as soon as we can. And then after that, the order is TBD, but likely we will have a woman, Jessica Sinarski, who works on children and brain health, coming in. She has her work is all on bravebrains.com if you want to check her out. And she is we've invited her to come speak specifically about mental health and anxiety in kids and what that is looking like right now and how she can be supportive of parents and talk through kind of the needs of parents as we are all navigating this time and our children's mental health needs. And then we have Tracy Baxley slated to come in as well. Hopefully both Jessica and Tracy before the end of 2021 is what we're working on scheduling. And Tracy has a book coming out in October called Social Justice Parenting. She is a mom of 5 Black biracial children. 3 of the 5 also have some other, some special needs around various abilities. And so we are looking at bringing Tracy in as well to complement what comes before with the conversations with Jessica and Dave. So we're super, super excited to have some parent education nights with some consistency and just topics that are relevant to what's happening in the school, faculty and administration level as well. So that's kind of an update on that.
Sorry, Sarah, I will add that this is all tied in with our strategic goal on improving how, going deeper with issues of social justice. It's one of our, and missionary discipleship, reaching out and for that encountering Jesus in everyone.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Alan, do we want to have talk through roles?
Yeah, we got to invite some new panelists. And though this isn't just us, this is a lot of us. And we've got 2 super specialists, super volunteer veterans that are just going to present a little bit on these roles. There are a lot of new people joining PA this year. And if you have any questions, they are here to help us field those questions as well. So if you don't mind, Lauren, since Liz isn't accepting this invitation, she says she has cranky internet. We'll figure that out in a little bit. But if you don't mind, Lauren, telling us a little bit first about being a PA rep.
Sure. Thank you for having me. I'm hearing myself. I'm sorry. Thank you for having me. I'm here to talk about parent association. I'm really trying to ignore the echo. So I'm trying to figure it out.
Do you want to pull out your AirPods?
Okay, hopefully you can still hear me.
Yes, we can.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm on Zoom all day. I don't know why this is happening.
That's how it always works.
So a parent association rep is a great way to not only stay involved and know what's going on, but also to communicate with your classroom. So you, as a parent association rep for the classroom, would attend parent association meetings and then relay that information back through your classroom parents. In the times when we have events, you assist with those events. So in the past, we've done the Sweetheart Dance, the back to school barbecue, things like that. So parent reps are asked to help volunteer and organize that. Usually you kind of choose one event to be the lead on or on that committee. And that's super fun, as well as always my favorite, Catholic Schools Week with Purple and Gold Day. And then also you're always asked, if possible, to organize a social for your grade or class. And I know that's difficult these days, but lots of different ways, either outside or by Zoom, whatever works. And so that's obviously important to be able to make people feel together. And I know, especially if people have joined in the last 2 years, they may not have really met anybody. So I always think that's an important part of being a PA rep. I love it. As I tell everyone, I like it because I like to know the gossip, and you'll hear it first at PA meetings. So if, like me, you like to be in the know, it's a great place to start to get that info and then to share it out with the other people in your classroom.
Thank you, Lauren.
No problem.
Alan, I'm going to let you decide who goes next.
Oh boy. Well,
is Liz here or no?
No, I don't know. We'll see. Wait.
Okay. Okay. But Liz, we can see that you can hear us, but you don't have the capability to talk.
Well, it's okay.
We'll do it for you, Liz.
Or yeah, we can. Why don't I just explain the room parent really quick. For room parents, You are just a point of contact mostly between primarily for your teacher when they need help, and if they need help organizing with the parents of their grade, you are that person that helps them organize that. And that is also the case if administration, the total school, or PA is trying to organize something. You are the person that decides on what the tempo of that communication is, hopefully. And yes, we've got news views, and yes, they're all, groups within, there are machines within the machines, but for the most part, the emails that parents within your grade are hearing from for that grade are hopefully coming from you. Yeah, that's room parents. There are room parents that have been doing this for a long time, that they just put together a template, honestly, and they grab, like, if there's really, really important stuff in news views, they'll copy paste it, link it, whatever, into their email, and they'll shoot that out and just to their class. This is a lot more involved for the younger grades than for the older ones. The older kids kind of run themselves. There aren't like opportunities to celebrate somebody's birthday in 8th grade. So yeah, that's room parents.
I think we're going to send it back to Lauren, the auction expert, who gets credited with running 2 virtual auctions, which is maybe no auctioneer's dream, but she did it very, very well. So Lauren, can you tell us a little bit about Auction Liaison in the classroom?
Sure, definitely. I, unlike Alan, did not make the commitment that I would stay until we were in person. I said adios and I'd be back when we're in person. So choose your words wisely next time, Alan. So a lesson to all of us. So the auction, big fundraiser, super, super fun. Hopefully it'll be in person. Maybe it won't, but that's cool because we had an amazing time last year doing it virtually. And I know this year's team will do it as well. As an auction liaison, you are, as it sounds like, the liaison between the auction team and your class. And you relay information from the auction team through your room parent back out there. The 2 big things that the auction liaison is responsible for is coordinating class package and the class art project. So the tradition is that each class creates an auction package. For instance, in the past, my grades have done a Disneyland trip, or a trip to, we did one, I think, to Vancouver one year. So you put together a really fun auction package, either from procuring items or parents contributing the recommended amount of $150 per family, and you pull that together and you communicate with the auction that this is what you're doing. And then we also have the tradition of every class, 5th grade down to preschool, does an art project. And they, so as auction liaison, you do not have to do the art project, but you have to ensure that it happens. So you can always find someone who's already in your class and likes to do that stuff. It is never me, so I always find someone else, but there's people out there who are really amazing at this work. And those are really super fun. And then you can have fun art for the kids. I am happy to answer more questions. As Sarah mentioned, I have been chair for the past 2 years and not chair this year. Karen Bombino and Andrea Marquez, 2 staff members, are splitting it right now. I know they'd love more help. So if you do have interest in the auction, I am just going to put that little plug in there. But if you have more questions, I'm happy to answer them. I don't want to, it can get confusing. So I don't want to get too into the weeds and either confuse people or scare you away, because the auction's so fun.
Thank you, Lauren.
And I have the date somewhere. I'm sorry, they sent me the date and I didn't write it down. April 7th. Does that sound right, Pablo? 7, maybe.
He's muted.
I'll put it in the chat.
Thank you. Could you also put in the chat
thank
what
you,
the
Andrea.
astronaut cat is behind you? Oh, Andrea's here. Hi, Andrea. You're amazing. I love you. Okay, I'm done. Bye.
Thank you, Lauren.
And then we have hospitality chair. Do you want to cover that, Alan?
No, you want to. You do.
I can do my best. I've never done it.
Yeah. Well, so hospitality chair is the one is probably the hardest to cover because it's just it's changed the most, right? Like you were the one that would be very specifically organizing the in-person events to support the community. And, you know, in for what used to be a staff luncheon, like you would organize the rest of the parents for like the potluck or raising money to make sure that like we've got dicks, whatever. And we've had to change that up because we don't have anything in person right now. So what that's transformed into, like Pablo said, some of the best things that we can do right now is positively support our teachers. And even though we can't do the monthly all staff, parish, and teacher luncheon, we can shower them in praise and presence. And that doesn't mean throwing a whole bunch of money at it necessarily. We know that every grade is different, every class is different. But I remember more than one teacher telling me last year that the thing that they missed most about their students was seeing their smiles every day, which sounds, you know, really cute. But like, you know, there was a grade that ran with that. They just took pictures of their kids smiling and gave it to their teacher. It's that simple. So we're going to keep that going, and hospitality chairs are going to be the ones to organize that. We are fortunate she isn't here tonight, but we are fortunate that Chris Sarov will continue in her role as hospitality super chair. And she will help answer any questions and organize us. Starting in October, 8th grade is hoping to get a full teacher, staff, parish, something. And we don't have a date on that. And if you're in 8th grade and you're surprised by this, it's probably because your team is still figuring out whether or not they can do it. But they pulled it off last year, and we hope they can again. But if it doesn't happen, like we'll make it happen in November. Yeah, that's probably the most strange one.
With hospitality, with the hospitality chair positions, and with what hospitality is able to do this year, I know there already has been some questions around like the level of creativity that might need to be brought to the game because we aren't able to do things in person the same way. So I'm going to copy and paste into the chat what was done last year for the teachers. And then as we keep going, you know, from month to month, and if grade levels need ideas, the 2nd grade, I don't mean to toot our horn, Alan, but I'm actually going to toot Madeline and Sue Pierce and Madeline Pennington's horn. The 2nd grade did a really exceptional job of honoring teachers last year. And I think this happened at many grade levels, but we got to see exactly what happened. Oh, hey, Sue, toot, toot. So if you need ideas, I know that Sue and Madeline are happy to share what they did to honor teachers just at our grade level. And some of those things could be carried out across the school if we wanted to honor the entire faculty that way. There's a lot of ways to be creative, as Alan said, and just continue to, if you're overwhelmed by the position or a little nervous, just feel free to ask for guidance with that. And I'll go ahead and drop that in the chat for last year. There's last year's goodies. That's
all right.
That's that piece.
Yeah. So this is rough because we've got, you know, we're like talking to a dark audience right now, right? Like everybody's in the shadows, in this webinar interface. But seriously, like, you know, if you've got questions, ask them now. You run into Sarah or me, you know, say hi.
Please.
We really, yeah. I wish that we could be sitting around a table talking about this stuff.
One other plug. So last year we had Julia Surasaki come up with, and I think this started last year, so please correct me if I'm getting the story wrong, but Julia Surasaki, a parent with children in multiple younger grades at this point, had an idea for new families to be connected, new families to the school to be connected with existing families. And she ended up setting up this entire buddy family program, which if you've been a new family recently, you've been involved in it most likely. And so she had this really great idea. She's taken it, she's run with it, and she's built something. And so if you are a parent who has that kind of vigor, please feel free to come to us with those kinds of ideas if you're wanting to spearhead something like that. The walking school bus was already mentioned tonight in the chat. And part of the conversation around just being good citizens around the neighborhood and how valuable that might be. Another idea is John Skokin mentioned in a meeting that we had earlier this week that there's potential for maybe someone to take over some gardening and opportunities to just like make things a little bit prettier in some of the flower beds around the school. There could also be, or there is an opportunity. Jonna has asked for some support around CYO uniform coordination. So there's some roles that kind of aren't grade specific that can be filled as well. So if you see a need, feel free to let us know that you have a skill or a desire in a certain area, and we're definitely open to that. And also if you're looking to do, if you love gardening, which is not me, like let us know and we will find a way to let you support the school in those ways as well.
Sarah, I'm glad you mentioned that, because such a vital piece of the fair share philosophy is utilizing parent talent to help make St. John an amazing community. I could name off a number of programs and things that we've started here that have been the result of collaboration with a parent with a particular talent or gift that they could see utilized in our school. So thank you, parents, for stepping up and offering up those opportunities.
Thank you. And I'm going to go back to that walking school bus. That is great, because it's so good for the environment not to be, slowly driving along. So if you can find somewhere 5 or 6 blocks away, I always think Fred Meyer's. A number of you meet at Fred Meyer's and just walk up 5 blocks. I don't think they'll fine you for 20 minutes of walking your children up and think how good and healthy it is for you and the environment.
We have a question about room parents. This is a great question, Bethany. Do room parents organize teacher gifts as a newbie to the school and to the role? I'd hate to drop the ball there. So great question. And so what happens with teacher gifts is at the grade level, and we might not have gotten grade level specific enough to make this clear. At the grade level, you'll have your PA team. And once that PA team is in place, and for most grades at this point, the teams are like robust, which is fantastic. And I see in my email right now, like more spots are being filled as I'm sitting here. So thank you. So you'll be meeting with your grade level team. For example, 3rd grade met last night, and we choose to meet once a month as a team. And so a lot of the ideas around teacher gifts and those kinds of things kind of come out of the conversations in those team meetings. And there's typically more veteran parents or who are on the PA team and then newer parents. And so ideas get tossed around and things that have worked in the past get shared and et cetera. So to answer your question, room parents are not necessarily specifically the ones organizing for the gifts. In fact, I believe that's often hospitality, but room parents might be actually the ones putting out the email call for like, hey, we're raising money right now at the grade level so that we have a grade level budget to gift teachers throughout the year, whether that's at Christmas and the end of the year, or maybe more sporadically, depending on what's brought in budget wise. Do you want to add to that, Alan?
Yeah, I would love to. Every grade is different, right? You guys are going to have to decide what works best for you. There are quite a few grades. I'm sure that we weren't the first ones to do this in 3rd, that, they put the ask out there at the beginning of the year for such and such money. And hopefully that amount carries them for the traditional things that we like to celebrate at the school. Like Spirit Week, Christmas, things like that. And what we did last year is we bundled in our hope that we could provide presents for our teachers who are teaching out of the pods last year, some nice presents every month. And that's just something that we worked out for our grade. And it was the hospitality chairs that more or less organized it. Like they handled the money for it. They made the Venmo account and they went out and bought the things or like procured the things, brought the chalk to the whatever. And, but it was the room parent that sent out that email. But everybody was involved in discussing how, you know, they thought they could best contribute.
It might be, I don't know for frame of references if this is helpful, but what we did at our grade level last year, and like Alan said, every grade level handles it differently, but we put out a suggested donation for a one-time donation. And so I believe, and another parent can chime in and correct me if I'm wrong, or Alan, if you remember, I believe our suggested donation was $50 per your, like, the request was submit $50 for your second grader. It was second grade at the time. If you can do that, and if you can do more, go for it. If you can do less, that's great. If you could donate something in kind. So let's say if you work for a coffee shop and you want to donate coffee cards instead of a $50 donation. So doing it in a way that works for you. So there was a suggested amount, which I felt like gave parents a little bit of a parameter, because sometimes people like that. And they, just to give them a sense of what would be most helpful. But then there was also this caveat that do what's best for your family, so that, you know, keeping things as equitable as we possibly can, and recognizing that there's lots of different circumstances at any given time.
And, oh, sorry.
Sorry, Alan. That goes back to the fair share too. We do what we can. We carefully discern what we can do. And it is up to each person individually to discern. But thank you, Sarah. Yeah.
Thank you for that, Bernadette. And going back, tying in Dee's question, just to clear things up, like traditionally, I don't know how far back this goes, but the grades would donate potluck lunches to the parents, or to the teachers, staff, and parish, and like each grade would be designated for 1 month of the year to do it for one lunch. And Dee's idea is great, that a grade could set up prepackaged snacks, you know, that are handed out safely some way. And that's, you know, each grade is different, and you get to put your stamp on it. So they're like, last year, I remember 8th grade, they got area gift cards from the neighborhood, and some really nice candy, packaged them up, everybody got one. And somebody wasn't there like a cider day for,
Yonder day.
Yeah, there was a yonder cider day. So, you know, you do what you like, and that's the best I can offer for that.
Yonder was after school, not during.
Important distinction. We've had, I think, 5 or 6 new people sign up while we've been sitting here. So Alan, it's working.
It's working. It's working.
Thank you. I mean, we really, really appreciate the way that many of you are showing up, and so many new parents are signing up for the PA for the first time this year, and very like vulnerably saying, I don't quite know what I need to do, but I want to be helpful. And I just want to honor that, because that means a lot. And I promise you, there are people here who will help you and point you in the right direction.
And our teachers really felt supported last year. Whatever gesture was presented by individual grade levels, it was all loved, and it came from the heart, and they needed that extra boost, and it helped. So thank you, and thank you to those new parents signing up for support roles and getting involved and supporting the Parent Association.
I see a call out for a 6th grade PA rep. For those older grades especially, you might have friends you could text right now and be like, come on, step up. You've been here long enough to know, or to know the ropes.
And those wonderful teachers deserve a rep.
Yeah. Yeah. 6th grade. My goodness. You guys have amazing
teachers. Cool. Thank you. Thank you, parents.
Yeah. Shout out to Mrs. Brumback on the call, 6th grade homeroom teacher.
Oh, is she here?
Yeah.
There's a few teachers on here.
Miss Brumback, I haven't seen you take a lunch in forever. What's going on?
Busy watching all your children get their lunch.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Well, and for parents to understand, like, we haven't had a teacher break room open to staff since COVID started. So our teachers miss that opportunity to sit down with their colleagues and share a meal and commiserate on perhaps something that happened on the playground or in the classroom. Never talking about an individual child, of course, but having these ways to support them outside of school is a nice add.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I can't even imagine that. Like having a full work day and not being able to walk away from work at some point in the middle of that day. That's amazing. All right. Well, thank you guys so much. We are at 6:07. Thank you, Bernadette and Paul, for this town hall. If there are any further questions following this meeting, please feel free to email, call, text, whatever, Sarah and I, or you could email Pablo and Ms. O'Leary. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
I will pop
parents.
go ahead.
Thank you.
You will pop our what, Sarah?
I'll pop our emails in the chat here
Oh, great.
in just a second. I'm
All right.
slowly copying and pasting yours, Alan. Oh, that didn't work. It's coming.
No. They just need yours.
Okay.
Thank you guys so much.
no, I
Bye.
wanna-
Good evening, all.
Good
Bye-bye.
night.
Good night.
Thank you guys.
Bye.